Welcome to ISE 2023 in Barcelona. This is Rich Fregosa, Uncle Richie for AVNation.tv. Had a great opportunity of being here this past summer. I fast forwarded 8 months, and lo and behold, I get a chance to have a second interview just a couple of months after with a friend of the show, we'd like to say. Andy Starks, you're the Director of Product Management for Macnica.
That's right. You nailed it.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you again.
Yeah, welcome back. So a little bit of constrained timelines. Yeah. Last time you and I spoke, we were just dealing with the show opening.
Right.
Coming out of still, this whole COVID thing. And one of the first conversations we had was like, okay, show's coming back up. Not quite sure what the reception is going to be like, what attendance was going to be like. And then it became a, here we go, or okay, full speed ahead. Well, we're now back on schedule. ISE is now on the dates that it's supposed to be. While we're recording this is actually the first day of the show. You've had a couple of hours to see the show floor in attendance. How's the show feeling now?
Well, I tell you, it's funny that you say that because prior to 2020, right before COVID happened, we were preparing to launch IPMX as part of that, or Open Standards organizations were part of, and we were putting tons and tons of work into it. And then all of a sudden, for reasons some weird thing was going on, and appointments were dropping out. And by the end of the show, you were wondering if you could get it home. This year, momentum has been building for IPMX, so we're pretty used to that workload and that process and everything. So I think preparation for the show is more normal. However, the number of appointments that we were able to get, and then coming to the show, the energy level and everything else, I think it's going to be a long tail before we can say it's all back to normal. Right. But I would say that it's much, much more back to normal than I anticipated. I think we're back to it, and I think that that appreciation for that face-to-face part of it, and the realization that as human beings we need to be next to human beings, and that these trade shows really are more than just getting the sales up. They're about making sure your team members feel like they're part of an industry and part of a community. And I think that we're feeling that this year, for sure.
Well, it's interesting that, you do talk about the people side of things and the connection. And, ISE is obviously a technology show. And one of the things that we always like talking about is that it's still made up of people and individuals, and people who are passionate about it. I'm going to get into the technology for a second, but let's just talk about your story and finding your way at Macnica and what brought you there. How'd you wind your way up with them, and what are you enjoying right now about this process?
Well, you're taking me way back. So in high school, I was kind of a lost kid, and in Minnesota, where I'm from, we had BEC TV. I got to give a shout out to Tom Ringdahl and the guys at BEC. It's a community television station, like public access, Wayne's World kind of thing, and got hooked in there and fell in love. And back in those days, it was like Amiga computers and the toaster and all that kind of stuff. And then I got hooked into the Pro AV side of it by getting involved in my school, and then later on I worked for an integrator. And then I started a company called Tightrope Media Systems that's still around, and they're doing digital signage and other things. And I left there, and from the next opportunity, I was really looking for something that was much more, to me, more meaningful. And if you think about this industry, where you're going to find meaning. Well, for me, one of the things about Macnica that was really attractive is the open standards side of things. I think that when we share, when we come together, we can create more for all of us, right? And I believe that you can see that really in any walk of life, and that's the exciting part of open standards is that, it's a metaphor, but in the Sahara, all the animals that are normally killing each other, they stop doing that at the water hole, and this is kind of like the water hole, right? We're all competitors and we all want to, get the business. But in the open standards, where we come together and we create an industry, we create the foundations for our industry to really grow it. And that was the thing that attracted to me, and as well as a paycheck.
That's always going to help.
That's a good part.
So as Director of Product Management, what do you find your responsibilities are?
It's mechanized empathy. I have to be really good at, and I think any project manager will tell you this, you have to listen, and you have to listen to not so much what the customer wants, but much more about what they really need. And to be able to put all those parts and pieces together to create something that's simple and something that can scale and also that can do more than even they were hoping for. That's at least what you aim for, right? You don't always get there, but.
Well, and we were talking kind of with the broad strokes of this. Let's talk about IPMX. Let's talk about the technical side of things.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
We are a technology show, and we are technically oriented. Let's talk about IPMX and the real-world applications that you find that are being used with it.
Yeah, well, so IPMX is a truly open standard, and I like to emphasize that by making the distinction between things that might call themselves an open standard. When a proprietary solution calls it an open standard, they're saying that they're trying to make it standard in the industry. When we speak of open standards, we're speaking about the formal definition, which means that it's a standard published by a standards organization that's certified by ANSI and all that kind of stuff. And IPMX is that, and it's not owned by us. It's part of the community. From a technical side, though, IPMX is really exciting because while it did start with SMPTE 2110, we recognized that SMPTE 2110 wasn't sufficient for what Pro AV needs. Pro AV needs something incredibly accessible and something that can scale up to the quality and the low latency that SMPTE 2110 provides, but also needs to be easy enough and be able to scale down to something that works over a 1 gig connection and something that doesn't require PTP time synchronization. Something where you can plug it into your laptop, plug it into the monitor, and you're going to see video. That's the vision of IPMX. So if you think about where video started, right? There was no application for video outside of broadcast television, right. And then all of a sudden, video games in the arcades came along with weird, different modes and everything, and then computers came along and really messed it up. And so then we had, DVI, HDMI, VGA, all this stuff, and we really thought of it as different. Now that we're all together on the IP platform, making things work differently and making them not compatible with each other makes more sense if you understand history and not so much if you understand technology. And so what we're really trying to do is we're really trying to make video just video again. So that no matter where IPMX is used, it's going to be a first-class citizen in that application. So when we think of AV over IP today, we think of presentation workflows, really. We're thinking about conference rooms, we're thinking about digital signage. With IPMX, those things are, again, like I say, a first-class use case for the set of protocols, right, and standards. But in addition to that, and thanks in large part to the heritage and with SMPTE 2110, IPMX is equally at home in the synchronized live production workspace where low latency is super important so that you can do seamless switching between sources and those kinds of things. So that's really, I think, an exciting part about IPMX is, I don't know about you, but what I've noticed is that people are using video more and more and more.
Right.
And unlike in the 80s, where, it was projectors and slide decks and things like that, now, today, large corporations, they're doing live production. They're doing a lot of live production, actually. And they don't want to have different systems that require different protocols and different software systems that don't talk to each other, that require expensive conversion. We want to eliminate those obstacles and make video much more accessible to everybody.
So if somebody's fortunate enough to be at the show, what are they going to see?
Well, they're going to see, we hope they see. We hope they come and see our booth at Macnica, where we have got hardware, software, single channel, multi-channel. If you are a developer in hardware, software, and you're trying to hit the high-end market or the high-volume market, we want you to stop by Macnica's booth. And we've got some really exciting IPMX and SMPTE 2110 related components and software to show you, including our software implementation called M2S, which is very low latency video into and out of a computer. We're showing that with Open Broadcast Studio, if you're familiar with that. We're showing that, doing a live production thing, shooting out right to an IPMX network. And then we're also showing a more traditional Pro AV application of AV over IP. And then also I want to invite people to swing by the IPMX booth as well, where we're showing different manufacturers are showing all of the different features of IPMX in one booth. And there's 12 other manufacturers. We'll give you the sheet of paper. You can go visit them and see IPMX all around ISE this year.
Fantastic. Well, we are going to have people who are going to be watching this video that can't make it to the show.
Absolutely,
how can they find out more about Macnica?
Macnicatech.com is our website. That's probably the best place. And then if you want to check out information on IPMX, please come and visit us at ipmx.io as well.
Well, fantastic. You've got it all for us. Well, if you want to find out find out more about Macnica and IPMX, you can find it on the sites just listed. If you want to find out more about our coverage of ISE 2023 in Barcelona, you can find it on our site at AVNation.tv. This is Rich Fregosa, Uncle Richie, for AVNation.tv.